it's quite likely you'll probably have pets or know animals that have intersex conditions. You'll notice that hermaphrodites in non-humans can be more talked about openly, but everyone's all weird about talking about human hermaphrodites, and even Martins that are living as women don't want to talk about human hermaphrodites, so I don't know what goes on in their head. Like, they want to live as women, and yeah, they're females with parts that they're not supposed to have, but, like, I don't know what they want. They want to be, like, genuinely actually men living as women. So in other words, they would want to be an MTF, but that's not exactly what's going on biologically, but that's not for me to worry about. I'm just going to talk about having intersex pets. It happens a lot in rats, cats, ferrets, and bovines, and famously and notably goats have a very high intersex rate. I'm not sure about sheep or other bovids. The term free martin originally primarily applied to, well, dick-girl cattle, but any kind of animal, I suppose, could be that kind of a hermaphrodite, a female with parts she's not supposed to have, or malformed genitals. And something people don't understand is, the thing about hermaphrodites is the correct parts are inside but underdeveloped, and the wrong parts are outside but deformed, but that deformation is considered normal because of obvious reasons. Anyway, even animals will use the genitals determine sex logic. So, in animals where if you introduce a new member to the group, they're gonna have dominance aggression. Like if they're of a species where the leading male is the strongest and the best at fighting, but at the same time the alpha female is the oldest. And so the males will fight over who's the strongest, and the females fight over who's the oldest, and the older female goes around biting all the younger females. Well, we've had a pet with Swyer syndrome. It was quite confusing because, well, she just looked like a male with a horrible flower part that stuck out. It was numb, it smelled bad, and things would get stuck in there, and he didn't notice, but we thought it was a she. But normal females don't get anything stuck in there, but this one did, because he couldn't feel anything down there, and he wasn't cleaning himself down there properly. And the oldest female of the group was a actual female, and after having introduced the Swyer pet, the oldest female was very, very confused. She kept sniffing the obscene part of the Swyer animal and just didn't seem to understand what was going on. Because back then I didn't understand hermaphrodites very well, but looking back, that's how I realized that these people really are born the way they are. No one's doing that kind of surgery on small animals. They're being born that way. And anyway, the oldest female would want to bite the Swyer pet, but she kept backing off and then creeping up, backing off, creeping up, and then finally she'd just chomp the Swyer and run, and then the Swyer would get really angry and chase after her, and they fought a lot. And at some point the Swyer pet seemed under the weather and sick, so we took him to a vet, and the veterinarian just ran some checkups and came back to say she couldn't find out what was wrong with the pet that looked like a boy with a vagina. The veterinarian, I think, was a castrato, and I remember she had like dyed blue hair or something. She didn't say a word about the pet being a hermaphrodite, because if she were to say that, I would have realized that if these animals are born with the wrong parts, then that would happen to humans. Anyway, Swyers are pretty rare. I wonder if this pet, which she's had a few other owners in the past, like 3 or 4, and a lot of the animals we've kept have had many previous owners, so I'm not really sure about where they come from. We usually just get them from people that get them from some other source. And free martins are the most common type of hermaphrodite, so we've had some of them. They're really quite common, and people don't want to talk about it, but a lot of people have marten cats, and, it's just a common thing. So, there's that. Yep, your pets are probably transgender. It happens. And the normal pets are absolutely confused. They'll sniff the genitals of the hermaphrodites and they just don't understand why something seems really strange here. And sometimes the intersex pets would have a hard time getting along with normal pets. Sometimes they might be very aggressive and lash out without much provocation. So they might be a little bit mentally unstable. So there's that. And of course, hermaphrodites don't have to be fixed. So I'm sure that some owners are experimenting with hormone drugs on pregnant animals and just kind of seeing what happens. Oh, and another thing was, I think we had an FTM pet that she passed better. It was a very unusual looking quote-unquote male. At some point his tail went bald, so I think I know about like cats that their tails will go bald, and so I'm thinking that female non-humans, if they have too much testosterone, they lose their tail hair, and that's probably an analogy for human females losing their head hair when they go on testosterone. So there's that.